Yes. All right, Bristol, we didn't want you to miss out too much. This chapter is called Colors, and it is really hot in the room, so I'm going to take off my...
Can we take off our shoes?
Friends, if you would like to slip your shoes off, it's really hot. I don't know why. We did make slime just now, and we saved you guys some slime. You hardly wear yours anyway. If you need to lower your mask for just a minute, do it, and then put it back on. Don't take it all the way off, though. All right, this chapter is called Colors. Julia opens the metal box. I see a row of little squares, green, blue, black, red, yellow, purple, orange. The colors seem to glow. She pulls out a brush with a thin tuft of a tail at its end. What is he talking about? It has a thin tuft of a tail at its end. Yeah, it's a paintbrush. He doesn't know what it's called, right? She dips the brush in water and wets the paper and then taps the red square. When the brush meets the damp paper, pink petals of color unfurl like morning flowers. I can't take my eyes off that magical brush. For a moment, I'm not thinking about Ruby and Mac and the claw stick and Stella. Almost. Julia touches the red again, then the blue, and there suddenly is the purple of a ripe grape. She touches the blue, and her paper turns to summer sky. Black and white, and now I see she's painting a picture of Ruby. I can make out her floppy ears and her thick legs. Julia stops painting. She takes a few steps back, hands on her hips, gazing at her work. Would you bring me that glue stick? Julia stops painting. She takes a few steps back, hands on her hips, gazing at her work. She scowls. It's not right, thank you, she says. She glances over her shoulder at me. I try to look encouraging. Julia starts to crumple up the paper, then reconsiders. Instead, she slides it into my cage at the spot where my glass is broken. Here you go, she says. It's a Julia original. That'll be worth millions someday. Gingerly, I pick up the paper. I do not take a single bite of it. Hey, I almost forgot. Julia runs her backpack. She pulls out 3 plastic jars. 1 yellow, 1 blue, and 1 red. She opens the jars, and an odd, not food smelling hits my nose. Julia pushes the jars one by one through the opening. Then she slides some paper through. These are called finger paints. She says, my aunt gave them to me, but really I'm too old for finger painting. I stick a finger into the red jar. The paint is thick as mud. It's cool and smooth like bananas underfoot. I pop my finger into my mouth. It's not exactly ripe mango, but it's not bad. Julia laughs. You don't eat it, you paint with it. She grabs a piece of paper and presses her fingers on it. See, like this. I place my finger on a piece of paper. I lift it, and a red mark is there. I get a bigger glob from the pot and slap my hand down on the page. When I pull my hand off the paper, its red twin stays behind. This isn't like the ghostly handprints on my glass, the ones my visitors leave behind. This handprint can't be so easily wiped away. There you can see just this paper that has a single...
Should we put it back on the mask now?
Well, you're drinking out of your water bottle. This chapter is called A Bad Dream. I lie awake, peeling dried red paint off my fingertips. Bob, who accidentally walks on one of my paintings, is licking his red paw. Every so often, I glance over at the empty ring. The claw stick glints in the moonlight. No, stop! Ruby's frantic cries startle me. Ruby, I call you're having a bad dream. You're okay. You're safe. Where's Stella? She asks, gulping air. Before I can answer, she says, never mind. I remember now. Go back to sleep, Ruby. I say, you've had a hard day. I can't go back to sleep. She says, I'm afraid I'll have the same dream. There was a sharp stick and it hurt. I look at Bob and he looks at me. Oh,
that wasn't a dream.
Ruby says, hey, it's fine. Oh, Mac. She puts her trunk between the bars. Do you think, she says, do you think Mac is mad because I hurt him today? I consider lying, but gorillas are terrible liars. Probably, I finally say. Where do we go today? Music, she comes here. Okay. He ran away after that, Ruby says. Bob gives a scornful laugh. Crawled away is more like it. We are quiet for a while. Branches claw at the roof. Come in and put them in their slots, please, and plug them in. We are quiet for a while. Branches claw at the roof. A light rain drums. One of the parrots murmurs something in her sleep. Ruby breaks the silence. Ivan, I smell something funny. He can't help it, Bob says. I believe she's referring to the finger paints Julia gave me, I say. What are finger paints? Ruby asks. You make pictures with them, I explain. Can you make a picture of me? Maybe someday. I remember Julia's picture, the one that will be worth $1 million, and I hold it up to the glass. Look, it's you. Julia made it. It's hard to see, Ruby says. There's not much moonlight. Why do I have 2 trunks? I examine the picture. Those are feet. Why do I have 2 feet? It's called artistic license, Bob says. Did everybody follow directions with the computers today?
Yeah.
Excellent. Ruby sighs. Could you tell me another story? She asks. I don't think I can ever go back to sleep. I told you all I remember, I say with a helpless shrug. Tell me a new story. She says, make something up. I try to think, but my thoughts keep returning to Mac and his claw stick. Anything yet? I'm working on it. Ivan, Ruby presses. Bob said you're gonna save me. I search for truer words. I'm working on that too. Ivan, Ruby says in a low voice, so low I can barely hear her. I have another question. I can tell from the sound of her voice that this will be a question I don't want to answer. Ruby taps her trunk against the rusty iron bars, thank you guys, of her door. Do you think, she asks, that I'll die in this domain someday like Aunt Stella? Once again, I consider lying, but then I look at Ruby and the half-formed words die in my throat. Not if I can help it, I say instead. I feel something tighten in my chest, something dark and hot. And it's not a domain, I add. I pause and I say, this is a cage. Now, you know, we talked about each dialogue is a different paragraph. See how this is? When there's a lot of conversation, it's like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Asher, that's what I was talking about. Do you see how it looks choppy, but that's how it is. When you have a lot of dialogue, it's a lot of paragraphs. This chapter is called The Story.
What chapter is that on?
They're not numbered.
Yeah.
All the chapters are like this though, because there's so much talking. The story. I look at the ring layered with fresh sawdust. I look at the skylight, at the half-hidden moon. I just thought of a story, I say. Is it a made-up one or a true one? Ruby asks. It's true, I say, I hope. Ruby leans against the bars. Her eyes hold the pale moon in them, the way a still pond holds stars. Once upon a time, I say, there was a baby elephant. She was smart and brave, and she needed to go to a place called a zoo. What's a zoo? Ruby asks.
Yeah, it is.
A zoo, Ruby, is a place where humans make amends. A good zoo is a place where humans care for animals and keep them safe. Did the baby elephant get to the zoo? Ruby asks softly. I don't answer right away. Yes, I say at last. How did she get there? Ruby asks. She had a friend, I say, a friend who made a promise. This chapter's called How. It takes a long time, but finally Ruby returns to sleep. Ivan, Bob whispered, yawning, what you said about the zoo, how are you gonna do it? I suddenly feel as if I could sleep for 1,000 days. I don't know, I admit. Well, you'll think of something, Bob said confidently, his voice trailing off as his eyes closed. What if I don't? I asked, but Bob's already asleep. His little red feet dance, and I know he's running in his dreams. This chapter's called Remembering. Look how short it is. Bob and Ruby sleep on. I don't sleep. I think about the promise I made to Stella and the pictures I've made for Ruby, and I remember. I remember it all. Look at these are 2 chapters. They're like tiny. What they did. We were clinging to my mother, my sister and I, when the humans killed her. They shot my father next. Then they chopped off their hands, their feet, and their heads. Something else to bury. There is a cluttered, musty store near my cage. They sell an ashtray there, and it's made from the hand of a gorilla. He's remembering things from when he was a baby.
What?
In some other countries, they make like bowls and things out of gorillas' hands. Like they cut them and then they preserve them somehow. Another Ivan. When morning comes and the parking lot glimmers with dew, I see the billboard on the highway. There I am, the one and only Ivan, bathed in the pink light of dawn. I look so angry with my furrowed brow and clenched fist. I look the way my father did the day the men came. I am, I suppose, a peaceful sort. Mostly I watch the world go by and I think about naps and bananas and yogurt raisins. But inside me, hidden, is another Ivan. I could tear a grown man's limbs off his body. In the flicker of time it takes a snake's tongue to taste the air, he could taste revenge. He is the Ivan on the billboard. I stare at the one and only Ivan, at the faded picture of Stella, and I remember George and Mac on their ladders adding the picture of Ruby to bring new visitors to the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade. I remember the story Ruby told, the one where the villagers came to her rescue. I hear Stella's kind, wise words. Humans can surprise you sometimes. I look at my fingers, coated in red paint, the color of blood, and I know how to keep my promise. He's got his idea. Days. During the days, I wait. During the nights, I paint. I worry when Mac takes Ruby into the ring. He carries the claw stick with him all the time now. He doesn't use it. He doesn't have to. Ruby isn't fighting back anymore. She does whatever Mac asks. Nights. I close my eyes. I dip my fingers into the paint. When I'm done with one piece of paper, I set it aside to dry. It's so small, just one sheet, and I'm gonna need so many. I move on to the next, and the next, and the next. It's a giant puzzle, and I'm making the pieces one by one. By morning, my floor is covered with paintings. I hide the paintings under my pool of dirty water before Mac can see them. I don't want them to end up in the gift store selling for $25. Oh, $20 a piece, $25 with the frame. These paintings are for Ruby, every one of them. Project. Ivan, Ruby asks one morning when I'm trying to nap, why are you always so sleepy during the day? I've been working on a project at night, I tell her. What's a project? It's a thing, a painting. It's a painting for you, actually, I answered. Ruby looks pleased. Can I see it? No. Not yet. Ruby pokes with annoyance at her roped foot. She takes a breath. Ivan, do I have to do the shows with Mac today? I'm afraid so. I'm sorry, Ruby. Ruby dips her trunk in the water bucket. That's okay, she said. I already knew the answer. Not right. It's night again and everyone's asleep, and I look at the pictures I've made, one of dozens. It's smudged and torn, a muddy blur. I place it beside the others lining my floor. The colors are wrong, the shapes are off, it looks like nothing. It's not what I'm trying to create. It's not what it's meant to be. It's not right, and I don't know why. Across the parking lot to the billboard beckons, as it always does, come to the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade, home of the one and only Ivan, mighty Silverback. If I could use human words to say what I needed to say, this would all be so easy. Instead, I have my pots of paint and my ragged pages. I sigh, my fingertips glow like jungle flowers, and I try again. Going nowhere. I watch Ruby plod around the ring in endless circles, going nowhere. More visitors have been coming, but not many. Max says Ruby's not picking up the slack after all. He says he's cutting back on our food. He says he's turning off the heat at night to save money. Ruby looks thinner to me, more wrinkled than Stella ever was. Hey, do you think Ruby's eating enough? I asked Bob. I don't know, but I'll tell you one thing, though. You're sure as heck painting enough. Bob wrinkles his nose. That stench is unbelievable. And I found yellow paint on my tail this morning. Bob isn't happy about my nighttime painting. He says it's unnatural. Now, while I work at my art, Bob sleeps on Not Tag. He claims he prefers her because she doesn't snore. He says her belly doesn't rise and fall and make him seasick. What is this plan of yours anyway? Bob asked. If you explain it to me, I could help out. He nods at his tail. Maybe I'd come up with something that doesn't involve, paint. Would you guys quietly put your shoes back on, please? I can't explain it, I tell him. It's an idea in my head, but I can't get it right. And anyway, I'm almost out of supplies. I should have known I wouldn't have enough. I kick at my tire swing. It's spattered with drops of blue paint. It was a stupid idea. I doubt that. Bob says, smelly, yes. Stupid, never. Bad guys. Most of the day, I doze. Late in the afternoon, Mac approaches. Bob slips under Not Tag. He prefers to keep a low profile around Mac. Not Tag is that stuffed animal. Mac's gaze falls on my pool. A corner of one of my paintings is visible. What's that, big guy? He asks. I calmly eat an orange, ignoring him, but my heart is racing. Mac kicks at my plastic pool, and underneath it are all my paintings. Mac yanks on a piece of paper, and it slips out easily, and he doesn't seem to notice the other paintings. The page is striped with green, which is what happens when blue paint and yellow paint get mixed together. It's supposed to be a patch of grass. Not bad. Where'd you get paint anyway? George's kid? He considers, I bet I can get $30 for this picture, maybe $40. Mac turns on the TV. It's a Western. There's a human with a big hat and a small gun. He wears a shiny star pinned to his chest. That means he's the sheriff, and he will be getting rid of all the bad guys. Hey, if this sells quick, I'll get you some more of that paint, buddy, Max says. He walks away with my painting, Ruby's painting, and for a moment, I imagine what it would feel like to be the sheriff. This chapter's called Ad. Good news, huh? Bob says when Mac's out of the earshot. Looks like you'll be getting some more supplies. I don't want to paint for Mac. I say, I'm painting for Ruby. You can do both. Bob says, you're an artist after all. While I watch the movie, I try to come up with a new hiding place for my paintings. Maybe I think I could fold them once they're dry and stuff them into Not Tag. It's a long movie, and at the end, the sheriff marries the woman who owns the saloon, which is a watering hole for humans, but not for horses. It's been a long time since I've seen a Western that was also a romance. I liked that movie, I say to Bob. Too many horses, not enough dogs, he comments. And then an ad comes on. I don't understand ads. They're not Westerns where you know who the bad guy's supposed to be. And they're hardly ever romantic unless the man and the woman are brushing their teeth before they face lick. I watch an ad for underarm deodorant. Hey, how do you know who's who if they don't smell? I ask Bob. Humans reek, Bob replies. They just don't notice it because they have incompetent noses. Another ad comes on. I see children and their parents buying tickets, just like the tickets Max sells. They laugh, they enjoy their ice cream cones as they walk down a path. They pause to watch two sleepy-eyed cats, huge and striped, dozing in the long grass. Tigers. I know because I saw them on a nature show once. Words flash on the screen, accompanied by a drawing of a red giraffe. The giraffe vanishes, and I see a human family staring at another kind of family. Elephants, old and young. They're surrounded by rocks and trees and grass and room to wander. This is a wild cage, a zoo. I see where it begins and where it ends, and a wall that says, you are this and we are that, and that's how it will always be. It's not a perfect place. Even in a few fleeting seconds on my TV screen, I see that. A perfect place would not need walls. But it's the place that I need. I gaze at elephants, and I look over at Ruby, small and alone. Before the ad ends, I try to remember every last detail. Rocks, trees, tails, trunks. That's the picture I need to paint. All right.
Did I record you at the end?